I said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm all in on data science. I remember when I first heard the expression, data science. I was like, where have I heard that before? And then it was big data, and, at the same time, I'm just saying, it was like big data, data science, and that became the talk of the town, in a nutshell. So, now that there's this industry, growing industry, of data science, let me put a few things into perspective for you. I am one Sir Grove. This is C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. If you are true fans of this show, then IWE495 most certainly appreciate you. Yeah, it's amazing. With the help of you, the audience, we here at C4CW, it's not just me, look. It's the homies as well, behind the scenes. They let me go on my tirades, and, I go off, and it's always some type of diatribe with me, where I'm, talking about corrupt motherfuckers in the U.S. government, and foreign fucking governments, too, by the way. And foreign fucking dictators. Despotic, nihilistic, nihilists, fucking statists. That's right, tyrannical, terroristic, fascistic, fucking piece of shit terrorist regimes. So, they're like, Grove, that's what you're good at doing? Keep doing it. You know what I mean? My political opinion and worldview are my own. So, that should not be thought of. My worldview and my opinions should not be thought of as being representative of 495L4 as a whole. We all think for ourselves, and we all have our own ideologies, personal opinions, worldviews, political views, philosophies, etc. So, that being stated, and for emphasis, right now, I'm on this data science mission. It's not a fad. It's not going away any fucking time, ever. Yeah, data science is here to stay, and I'll explain why. So, not to go into some long-ass backstory, because this show has been on the air for over a year now, and by the way, it has become successful. It was monetized from the very beginning, so this show has been making money since day fucking one. Shout outs to all of our advertisers. We have major advertisers that advertise on this show, and that is an absolute fact, and that is how we have been monetized and making money from the very beginning. So, to that end, data science, big data. Why is it here to stay? Why is it not going away? And what is significant about it? Well, it should be obvious to most folks, but sometimes it isn't, because not everyone is on the same channel. Not everyone is focused on the same shit. The simple bottom line is that there was an announcement, we'll say an announcement, by folks in the science community, U.S. intelligence community, because yes, I am saying that specifically and particularly there were folks in the U.S. intelligence community who had stated the following, in addition to the world of science as a whole, that if we did not get a handle on how we manage data, data implosion could occur at some time in the future. And that we, even back then, in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were approaching that. Yes, we were approaching data implosion. I'll give you another example. Not too long ago, last year I believe it was, sometime in the past 24 months, I'll say, that it was announced that the addressing system of the internet, that is, the Internet Regulatory Authority body that the regulatory body, organization, that is responsible for the designation of internet addressing spaces, had announced that it was running out of address spaces for internet domains, users, companies, private citizens, organizations, etc. And that at some point in time, there would be no longer the availability of address spaces for internet domains. Unless we moved over to the internet too. Okay, like a second internet. So, knowing that in advance, some individuals and organizations were preparing to and were moving over to, that is transitioning, migrating over to the internet too. Now, a lot of people in mainstream society have never even heard of the internet too. They're like, the internet too, Grove. One Sir Grove, like, what the fuck is that? Come on, that sounds made up. It's a real thing. Okay, so that should put into perspective big data in some way. The world is constantly dealing with massive amounts of data. And yes, I understand, as someone who observes computer information systems, IT, computer science, data, information, mathematics, I know that there is a difference, sometimes a distinction, depending on your school of thought and depending on what we're talking about. There is a difference between data and information. Yes, some people think that it's one and the same, and it can be. But semantically, there is also a nuance. There is a difference between data and information for those who don't know. Sometimes and often we talk about data and information as if they are one singular thing. And they can be. But for those who know, who are in the know, there is a line of delineation in that there is a difference. There is a difference between data and information. Nonetheless, when we look at the world of information and just data in general, information and data that swirls around, circles the globe, out into space now, because now we're setting up the internet and have been in space. Internet networks, nodes, connections, and relays, broadcast platforms, and in that, this tremendous amount of information data that permeates, that is so pervasive and so flowing in the ether. Sometimes that data is difficult to control. And we can see that in our daily lives when dealing with laptop computers and personal handheld devices, smartphones, and so on and so forth. Sometimes there are glitches. Sometimes there are denial of service attacks, floods of data and information, ransomware and hackers and screens that pop up and don't seem to close, and an overwhelming amount of information, data flowing throughout our daily lives. So we grapple with that already, and as things are now. So imagine as these high-tech networks, 5G for example, increasingly powerful networks, larger, spread out more, increasingly bigger in scope, scaled up, more people getting connected worldwide than ever before. Because yes, there are more and more people who are getting connected to the internet who have never previously been connected to the internet. And they have had a connection, but it hasn't been as powerful. And so they're now stepping up their internet connectivity on broader, larger, more powerful networks. 5G. With 5G allows you to do more. It allows you to stream more. And in less time. So you can have more screens open, windows open. You can have more data. You can do a lot more and work with a lot more data on the larger, bigger, scaled up, faster, more efficient networks. So as more and more people connect to said networks, then we're accessing more and more data. And that poses a serious fucking problem for the world. Because the question is, how the fuck do we control it all? I mean, it's a simple question. How the fuck do we control all that shit? How do we manage that flow of data globally, worldwide, when there's so much shit going on? Well, that's what scientists are trying to figure out. So, that's why data scientists are much needed. Now, how many computer programmer developers, software engineers, software developers, computer professionals, IT professionals are currently in the job place, marketplace, the workplace? How many are currently employed? Okay, now contrast that with how many are needed. How many are needed right now? Well, have you ever thought about it? So look, we're going to do some quick math. We're going to do some super simple, basic fucking math here. And I will put it into perspective for you. Now, there was a time, and I'm not going to go off on some long, again, backstory, but there was a time when the people I was associated with from childhood, they were studying C programming, C++ specifically, and Visual Basic. And I was like, hey, that's fucking cool because I learned procedural top-down. That is 10 line this, 20 line that, 30 line this, end line run type shit, the old school. And so did they. And when they started to do C++ and Microsoft.NET, you know, I was like, that's cool, .NET frameworks and shit, and Visual Basic, it looks all fine and dandy. But when I looked at the data, when I looked at the programming languages, when I read the books and shit, I was like, you know what? This stuff is cool, but I'm interested in Java. You know, I'm interested in Java. I mean, C is a core language, man. It's important to know, especially if you work in cybersecurity. So what a lot of people don't know is that you can learn Java and just have that be your core language, which is what I did. And or you can learn C and just have C be your core language, which is how people used to do things. Like, that was kind of the, like, trend. People knew one or the other. But honestly, man, if you want to be really good at what you do, man, and set yourself apart, you probably want to try to do both, man. Because the more I studied cybersecurity, the more I would see that people were either, they had one or the other under their belt. And they just kind of left it at that. But then you encounter, depending on what you're doing in cybersecurity, you reach a certain level where you have to know C. You have to know fucking C. And the same of Java. It works both ways, man. Like, when you get deep into cybersecurity research, studies. And so, I mean, man, when I hear that these youngsters, these younger members of society are learning Python for the first time, and that they're, you know, considering doing something in cybersecurity, being in the field of cybersecurity later down the road, and I'm like, okay, well, do you know any Java or do you know any C? And they're like, no. And I'm like, you don't know any C, you don't know any Java? They're like, nah. And I'm like, what does your university do? And they're just like, oh, it's all Python now. And I'm like, okay, right, big data, data science, but what about C and Java? They're like, oh, no, we haven't taken any of those courses, and that's not part of our program that we're in. And I'm like, and you want to do cybersecurity at some point? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, dude, you need to start learning that shit now. Download the fucking Solo Learn app. Just download Solo Learn and get on the fucking ball with that shit, man. So in that, keep this in mind. So you have folks now who are being indoctrinated with Python and no C and no Java. Neither Java nor C. So it's like, wow. And what you find as a result 2.5 million was the last time I heard this statistic, looked it up, and that was like 2 years ago. 2.5 million unfilled IT positions. 2.5 million unfucking filled IT positions worldwide. And that number, again, was years ago. So what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? 2.5 million unfilled fucking IT positions worldwide? We're gonna look at what the fuck that means. So I used to be a firm believer in classroom only. Just, go to college, pay tuition, sit in the classroom, do the shit formally, fuck all that online shit. Then I changed my mind. Yeah, after I sat in the classroom for Java, and after I paid for cybersecurity courses at many different universities, not just one, not just two. When I paid tuition, out of state, in state, I'm talking about a lot of fucking money to attend colleges, big name colleges, universities. Man, looking back at the shit, I'm like, wow, you know what? I really could have just done this shit using Solo Learn. I'm just saying, man, like, it's nice to be affiliated with the college university for your permanent transcript and resume. And I actually do encourage folks to get formal education in that way. But if for whatever reason you are unable to attend college, university because of work schedule, because of life, family, this, that, and you just don't have the time, maybe don't have the patience, you're just like, yo, fuck all that noise. Like right now, maybe at some point in my life, I will attend college, university, formally, brick and mortar in the classroom. Hey, look, in the meantime, Solo Learn. I'm just saying, man, Solo Learn. SOLO, first word. LEARN is in November, second word. Look, I've done Code Academy. Shout outs to all of them, man. Shout outs to Code Academy and shout outs to Solo Learn. I like Solo Learn. I don't dislike Code Academy. There are, I think there are more pluses to Solo Learn for the way I learn, and it was much easier to do the 12 different languages on Solo Learn. So like 8 to 9 hours or less as opposed to an entire semester. I mean, I did Java in the classroom spread out over the course, the span of a fucking entire semester. I took Java in college, in the classroom. And my overall GPA was 3.5. So almost an A grade. And I had missed half the class. And the reason I passed was I was in a program and I was in a study at a DOD facility. And I passed nonetheless. I used to take a train out here on the East Coast on a daily basis to this DOD facility. And a long time ago, 10 years ago, more than that actually now. And I fucking, and my professor knew that because I showed him the paperwork and everything. And I was able to do my homework on the train. And I passed the midterm and I passed the final exam. And he said that my program that I wrote was more advanced by a year than everything that was taught in the entire course. So he gave me a 3.5. I really shouldn't have passed the fucking class because I wasn't in the class for 50% of the shit. But because I passed the mid and the final and did a project at the end that was 1 year advanced to what was taught in the entire course, he's like, yo, you got a 3.5. I thought I was going to fail this shit. He's like, dude, you did more than anybody else in the fucking class. But technically, you weren't here for 50% of the shit, so you should have failed, but I got to give it to you. So he gave me a 3.5. I couldn't fucking believe it. I just thought I was going to have to take the course over despite the fact that my shit was more advanced than what the class was doing. At any rate, that was my Java experience. I then took Java again online years down the road, as opposed to in the brick and mortar classroom. I took it through solo learn. And then I did C, and I did C++, and I did C#, and I did Ruby, and I did SQL, and I did Python 3, and I got up to speed on all the new shit. And looking back at that, if I had taken each one of those 12 different computer programming languages, 12 fucking computer languages in a classroom, 12 different semesters, I mean, Jesus criminy. You know how much that shit would cost at a fucking state university? We're talking about a fortune. I did that shit for absolutely free over the internet. Each course, 8 to 9 hours. You do one course per day, 12 fucking days. You have 12 computer languages under your belt. I'm just saying, man. Solo learn. 12 fucking days? What do you do in 12 days? You play video games? You game? You game? You play games online? What, PS4, Xbox, Switch? I'm just asking. In 12 fucking days, you could have 12 computer certificates. Solo Learn gives you certificates as well. Now check this out. If you become functional in any particular language, after the overview, general overview that you have learned as a result of Solo Learn, let's check out the current population of the state of South Dakota. Let's check it out. South Dakota population. Okay, says 882,000, and we'll just round it to that. What is South Dakota's population? It does indeed say that it is 882,000. I just wanted to double check, and that's 2018. What is South Dakota's population year 2020? All right. Says in 2020, the estimated population of South Dakota is 903,000. You see? That's why I double check, triple check. So it's 903. It's less than 1 million. Less than 1 million. Okay? Why? What does that mean? Well, we're looking at big data. So check this out. 2.5 million unfilled jobs worldwide. 2.5 million jobs. If you took every single, what do you think the average salary is for IT? Let's look it up. What is the average salary for software developer? Glassdoor, right here, it says 63,000 to 120,000 per year. Pay scale says 67,000 to 120,000. So multiple sources are showing 60,000 on up. U.S. World News says software developers earn an average salary of 100,000 in 2018. Okay, that's three sources, one of them showing 100,000. And then it says, let's see. Yep, Glassdoor shows 76. At a different link to Glassdoor. And then pay scale is showing 70. Indeed is showing software developer salaries in the United States. Indeed.com is showing, hold on. Software engineer is 107. So it looks like it's somewhere between 60 as had been reported, and 100 in some. So between 60 and 100. Let's just go with the low estimate. Let's just go with the low estimate. Just to err on the side of reason here, okay? So it says, it says 127,139 salaries reported, updated February 2020. So it does say that as of 2020, the average software engineer is making $107,000. Web developer, 74,000. Java developer, 100,000. .NET developer, 96,000. Application developer, 89,000. I don't see anything that's 60,000. The lowest salary is the web developer at $74,000. And then the .NET is 96,000, so just make that 100. Application developer is 89, just make that 90. Full stack developer, that's Java, that's 113,000, so make that 115. Developer, just in general, 93,000. So these are all above or near $100,000. Okay? For fucking software engineering, developing, front end, and so forth. 2.5 million money bags. Money bags. With the check in each one of those 2.5 million money bags. So the state of South Dakota, and then another state of South Dakota right next to it. So 2 South Dakotas, population entirety of people is about 2 million fucking people. If you were to take one South Dakota and say, here's an imaginary other South Dakota with 900,000, make that 1 million. This South Dakota, make this 1 million. If you had 2 South Dakotas, you would have 2 million people. If you were to replace every man, woman, and child in 2 states of South Dakota, take every man, woman, and child and make them disappear, make sure they're safe, but put them in another universe, a third universe, and then replace each one of those human beings with the money bag. You open the money bag and there's a check in it written to you for $100,000. There are 2.5 million money bags sitting here on the landscape, where opening each one of those money bags is a check written to you for $100,000+ a year. Just sitting there, money bags, 2.5 million money bags sitting, scattered out here on the landscape, waiting for anyone who wants to open the money bag and be like, yo, here's my $100,000 a year. Oh, wait, there's another money bag too. And it has, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another. Talk about big data. Why aren't you up on data science if you aren't already? Why aren't you considering Python, getting certified? The world obviously needs big data scientists. Yo, I'm all in.